What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. You picked an odd video for your first one, but welcome anyway. Now as you can see, it's a lazy Sunday and I really don't want to get off the couch, but when you've got a bunch of aquariums, you got to do maintenance. So come along with me and join me on my Sunday maintenance routine. We got some trimming to do, we got some cleaning to do. Let's take a look at all the tanks and get an update on all of them while we're at it. Now I did a poll on the community tab and most of you guys voted to have your aquarium updates released as individual videos on the channel. Now I'm going to get there where we're at a point I can do those individual videos, but I'm kind of behind, so we're just going to get all the updates here in one video while I'm doing the maintenance. That way you guys can get caught up so the future videos make sense. Alright, aquarium number 1 in the lineup is the 75-gallon bass tank here. Those that are familiar with this, it's been on the channel since the beginning, but it is not in its best condition here. That's because I'm going to be rescaping this. Now the dwarf sage looks pretty good. Billy Bass is of course a very happy little guy, so he's having a good old time just chilling there. But you can see that our moss is kind of in, well, scraggly shape here. The ferns have been butchered because I've been selling them and just trimming them back. You can see the substrate is not in the best condition here. What is this? Vallisneria, that's what it is. The Vallisneria here is very thin. I sold a bunch of it to my LFS recently, so it really is just kind of scraggly. Giant root mass back here. That's on this pothos that is doing really good up here. Check that bad boy out here. Pothos is loving all the nitrates that are in this aquarium. But we're really not going to do anything with this. I tested the water. All the parameters are good. I did a water change earlier this week on it, so everything's fine. Floating plants in here. We got our red roots, which are not red. There's too many nitrates in this aquarium, so the red roots will not redden up, even though they're right under 2 of these Hygger 48-inch lights here. Had no issues with these Hygger lights. If you're looking for some, well, affordable lighting that's going to grow plants, these will do it. Just jump down into the comment section there. Not comment, drop down into the description section. I've got links for all of my equipment here. That's your update on the 75-gallon. Look for the rescape coming up here pretty soon on this guy. Moving on to our next aquarium here. This is the 10-gallon Dragon Valley 1.0, the original Dragon Valley aquascape. It's gone through a couple of changes here. Those that remember this aquarium know that there was a whole bunch of Pentatophyta back here. I ripped all that out. There's still a little bit there. Pentatophyta was covering this whole rock structure. I pulled it out of there, moved a little of the Monte Carlo over. You can see the Monte Carlo is thoroughly enjoying it. It's just going nuts. The left side here is just one giant mass of Monte Carlo. Let me get around to the side of the aquarium. You can see here, it's just pressed up against the glass. Definitely needs some maintenance. However, I'm not going to be doing any maintenance on this aquarium because we're going to be doing a half rescape. What do I mean by a half rescape? I'm not going to be changing the whole rock structure here and tearing the whole thing down, but I am going to be pulling all the plants out and doing a new setup kind of thing. So there's your update on Dragon Valley 1.0. It does need a water change though, so I'm going to do a water change on it while we maintain Dragon Valley 2.0 down here. Let me get the water change started, then we'll talk about this one. All right, we got our water change started here. Just going to drain out about 5 gallons of water from this 10-gallon aquarium, do a little water change. Why, may you ask, am I doing a water change? It looks pretty crystal clear, right? Well, if I zoom in here and the camera decides to focus, you're going to see that we're still battling a little bit of an algae problem here. Little black brush algae. There you can see a little black brush there on that Anubias leaf. Here you might be able to see some of that black brush algae. It's almost like a staghorn combined with black brush, but it's even on the Monte Carlo there. So just a little bit of a nutrient excess in this aquarium. All right, we got our RO water going down here and across and into the aquarium. Now you may ask, where am I getting this RO water from? Well, I make it right here in-house. Obviously, this is my laundry room, and it's a handy place to install an RO system because you've got a drain for your wastewater. You have a drain right there, and if you put a splitter like I did here, a little hose splitter like you'd have outside in your garden, you can tap into your cold water line right there and just run your RO system right in the house. Doesn't matter whether it's raining or shining or whatever, you run the outlet down here and just fill your buckets up. This is one of the first videos I ever did, was one of these RO systems. I have not changed the filters on this little RO buddy. I think that's what it's called. Link in description, of course. But never changed the filters on it. You can see after a year of use, the color difference right here, this tells you when your filter needs to be changed. We still got quite a ways to go before that filter is spent. Sediment filter, on the other hand, probably could use a change there. This is looking a little dirty, but I'm still getting about 2 to 4 on my TDS. Anyway, 1 year of use, I've had no issues with it, no leaks. If you need one for cheap, they're about 70 bucks. Go get one on Amazon. Help me out. Click the link in description. All right, while Dragon Valley 1.0 is filling back up with RO water, boy, I probably need to clean the glass a little bit, huh? All right, I'll wipe that down off camera. But let's get on with the Dragon Valley 2.0. Now, run through this real quick here and show you some updates on it. If you remember the build, there was some of this mossy Riccardia moss tree right up here on the top. You can see I cut it off because it was always sticking out of the water and drying up there. Very similar to how this one is trying to stay out of the water there. But that one's okay. It's still growing, so I left it there. But I did trim that off. The weeping moss has gotten a trim on the top off camera because it was just a giant bush. Very similar to this one back here. You almost can't tell the difference between the Riccardia and the weeping moss. The weeping moss is right there in the middle of your screen. Riccardia are those two little bushy ones there. But I'm loving this aquascape. Probably one of my favorite ones that I've done. Just has 3 of these little green rasboras in there. And a couple of shrimp, yellow shrimps, orange shrimps. There they are. Loving life, little shrimps. Plant-wise, try and run through it real quick here. We have some Liliopsis brasiliensis. That's this grassy stuff here, which we're going to be trimming because you can see that it's trying to grow where I don't want it to grow. And we have some over here growing up into the dwarf baby tears, or rather down from the dwarf baby tears. I'm digging the way it looks here where it's just kind of intertwined with the dwarf baby tears. Looks really natural, but we're going to pull some of that out. Also going to trim our dwarf baby tears. As you can see here, let me get down on this side. They're a little scraggly, sticking out there, and getting pretty thick. To keep that healthy, we want to keep that carpet trimmed down so it doesn't rot underneath there. But you can tell by the purling, it's just loving life. The reason it's purling is we're running a pretty high power LANDEN light. If I remember, it's over 3,000 lumens for this little thing. Our Riccardia trees are looking fantastic. I think it turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. They really do look like little trees, don't they? And finally, for our plant list, there's a little bit of Bucephalandra in here, and it is just doing what Boost does, and that's not too much anything. Living life slowly. All right, I'm going to set you up on a tripod so you can watch me trim this aquarium while you listen to some music. All right, we got our trimming all done here, and now for the worst part of trimming little tiny plants like this, you got to clean the surface off. So I'm going to net all of that out. You guys don't need to see that. We'll get the filter going back up here, and then we'll do a couple quick close-ups of the trim with a little explanation on why or what I did. Right down here on the left, we trimmed the Liliopsis brasiliensis and also the dwarf baby tears, just kind of kept that back in the corner there where it's supposed to be so it's not encroaching in the front. That makes the front here nice and clear. Don't mind the green algae. That will go away as I've been doing water changes to remove nutrients. Moving over to the right hand side, same thing, just kind of squared this off and made it a nice crisp cut line, kind of like trimming the edging of your lawn. And then I trimmed the little scraggler Liliopsis brasiliensis. That's these little tiny grass looking things here. And just trimmed all those little edges off, or those little shoots, so that we have a nice dwarf baby tears carpet, which has also been trimmed nice and flat. That's going to help it kind of grow in. Really kind of hacked it in the back there, maybe a little bit too low, but it'll fill in, no worries there. Sorry for the little bit of cloudiness here. I did stir up the aquarium, so it's a little bit cloudy when I zoom in, but the filter will take care of that. We did a little bit of trimming here on the weeping moss. There's some weeping moss right there that got trimmed, if it'll focus. There we go. Trim that little scraggler. Some weeping moss back here that I just kind of trimmed a little bit. And then up on the top of the main arch here, just a little bit of a trim. Probably should have trimmed that little spot right there, but we'll let it grow in. It'll kind of drape over. Trimmed it here in the back as you saw in the video. And we didn't do anything with our trees, our Ricardia moss trees. They're doing just fine. All right, there you go. Dragon Valley 2, done. Still waiting on Dragon Valley 1 to fill up. Slow process here, but I like to drip the water in very slow since I've got shrimp. All right, moving on to the 10-gallon Molly tank here. This aquarium is going to be due for a rescape as well. I think it's just kind of reached the end of its life cycle. The plants have completely filled in. All the Anubias is kind of suffering because it's growing over top of itself. The S. repens is kind of doing the same thing here. Still looking good, but pretty soon it's going to start choking itself out. And all in all, I'm just kind of getting bored with this aquascape. I do love it. It's the low maintenance aquascape. If you want to go back and find that video, I set it up to be low maintenance, but we still got to do some maintenance. It has been probably 2 months since I touched this aquarium. But let me show you some suffering plants here. You can see hopefully here this Anubias not really doing so hot. You can see some, yeah, hello beautiful, we all see you. Hey, move please. No? Okay, I'll go around you. The, come on, get out of the way. The Anubias here really kind of suffering. I do fertilize it. You can see a little bit of black brush there. That's part of the reason the Anubias is having some trouble. I did trim some leaves off that were affected by the black brush algae, but the plant's just kind of not really doing too good. And it's kind of the theme throughout the aquarium. Let me see if I can find another one. Here's another spot you can see. The shrimp are having a good time eating the leaves that are dying. A little bit of black brush on that one there as well. So as we just kind of scan through the aquarium, you can see we got some black brush on the Anubias here. Probably a little over nutrient in this aquarium. The Nuri's doing good here, the Cryptococcus Nuri. Beautiful. Scroll over to the middle here. There's a Cryptococcus Nuri here doing absolutely fantastic. I guess it grows a little faster, or maybe the black brush doesn't like it. There's another type of Anubias here, this long kind of leafy one that's coming out of the aquarium. This is Anubias hastifolia. And it needs a little bit of work here too. You can see we've got a dead leaf there, and another leaf is not doing too hot there. So we're going to trim some of those off. The only maintenance I'm going to do on this aquarium is trimming those Anubias leaves, and then I'm going to do a water change. Before I do that, equipment on this is just a little Hygger light here. This is, I think it's a 14-watt light, but just a little WRGB from Hygger. You can find that again in the description. We are running CO2 on this aquarium here, and a Fluval 107, and it's also got some LANDEN lily pipes here with a Aquarium Neo surface skimmer that is, well, clogged by snails right now, so we got to unclog that, but little outflow surface skimmer. People have asked, what's the whole point of the outflow surface skimmer? It's not going into the filter. Well, Doesn't need to be. I just want to skim that surface scum off. See that little scummy on the top? We just want to keep the water nice and clear, as you see, by pulling the scum and squirting it back into the water flow. That takes care of your bacterial surface scum. Okay, let's trim up some Anubias. And there we go. Got the Anubias trimmed up. The mollies look like they're excited that, I don't know, some of the dead leaves are gone. Who knows? But all the Anubias is trimmed up here. Did a little bit of trim on the S-Repens, not too much. The Hastifolia version of the Anubias, that's been trimmed. Left a couple of leaves up top there. But got pretty much all of this dead stuff out of here. Doesn't really look much different, does it? But if you're up close and you're sitting here kind of looking around and watching the shrimp, which anytime you do a trim, the shrimp just love it. So they're all over the new trimmings there. I guess maybe some nutrients leak out of the plant or something that the shrimp like. I'm not sure. But it looks much better because we don't have any algae leaves or dead leaves. Now, all I'm going to do is drain the water here, or do a water change and scrub the glass a little bit with one of these little kind of scrubber things. I don't want to name a brand, but I'll show you. Alright, so without naming any brands, you can see this little kind of white scrubber thing. You know what they are, and it is my favorite tool for doing any kind of glass cleaning. Doesn't really matter how dirty your glass is or how much algae's on it or anything like that. These little white pads here, they just remove anything off the glass very quickly. Quick, simple, easy, and safe for fish. Okay, only thing left to do on this aquarium is a water change. I'm going to do that off camera because pretty boring, you guys get it. I am going to use RO water on this aquarium as well to fill it back up. I've found best success with all of my plants, and it doesn't look like it, but better success with algae using RO water. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then we're going to move to the next room and continue on with the maintenance. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. You're just kind of relaxing, eating a snack, watching some maintenance, and getting some tank updates. So appreciate you guys sticking through. Let's go on. Let's continue. All right, guys, we're now in the main fish room, aka my office. As you can see, there's a lot of aquariums here that we have to attend to, but not as much maintenance in this room as you would think. We're 4 aquariums deep. We've got 9 aquariums to go. 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 aquariums technically, but you're not going to get to see one of them because, well, not ready for you to see it yet. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this one here. We'll give you a quick update on the super shallow waterfall aquascape and then show you the maintenance I got to do on this. All right, welcome to the latest aquascape I've done. This is the super shallow waterfall aquascape that didn't quite turn out as everybody wanted. Little waterfall here, very nice. You can see our weeping moss is doing fantastic here. We've got some plants here. Mondo grass from your local big box store. The rest of these plants are actually yard weeds. If you haven't seen this build, it's quite a fun one. Go look it up on the channel. Couple of Salvinia minima floating plants there. A little bit of Anubias that's doing good in here. The Tripartita species Japan here also doing very well in this aquascape. A little bit of S-Repens there in the back, doing very well. And everybody else is doing well, including all of our baby fish. If you did not see, in recent updates, we have a bunch of white cloud mountain minnow babies from the parents here. They're hard to see now because they like to swim around. Come on, where's all the little babies? Here you can see some babies swimming around. What you'll also see is a bunch of snails in there, and that's really the only maintenance we're going to do in this aquarium. You see the gravel is nice, the algae has settled down, the rocks are nice and clean. And that's partly due to the snails, but man, we have a ton of snails in this aquarium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece of food right here in the front, and I'm going to let all these snails collect over here. So let's bait our snails and get them out of there. Not that I mind snails, but there's just too many of them. All right, you can see that we've got a collection of snails here starting to swarm onto that little piece of food I put in there. We got some stragglers still trying to catch up to the herd, so we're going to let them get in there, and once they're all bunched up, we'll take the whole lump out. While we're waiting though, here's the subscriber-built aquarium, and not too much to do in here. Last update I gave you guys, we had a big algae problem. Well, you can see now that the algae has pretty much disappeared. Done a good job here cleaning up the sand as well. Not all me as far as credit goes. We've got some Amano shrimp in there that put some work in. We got one clump of algae here. I'm not quite sure where it came from, but I'll get in there and just pull it out. That should finish up the algae problem in this aquarium. But what I'm going to do is a little bit of a trim on the Rotala Atra here. We want to just kind of clean that up a little bit. Just a little tip trim. And then we're going to do the same here on the Bacopa. Give that a little trim. That's all we really got to do on this aquarium. All right, and there we go, guys. We got this aquarium's water change done and everything is back to normal. I didn't do anything with the filter. You can see the filter's still dirty there, but not going to disturb any of the bacteria or do any filter maintenance at this time because pretty much the aquarium looks good, just a routine water change. I did get our clump of algae taken care of down there, and well, that's really all I got to say about this one. Now going back up here, look at our group of snails. We're about ready to pull all these snails out of here and rehome them. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw them in the trash or nothing. We're going to get them moved into the 75 gallon where, well, they can be happy and healthy. They got lots to eat around there in the 75 gallon. So let's go ahead and scoop these guys out of here. All right, going to go ahead and just drop these guys right in the 75 gallon here. Plenty of space for them to go run around and eat and whatever, do snaily things. I don't mind the snails, I just don't want 100 of them in one small aquascape. Okay, that takes care of the shallow waterfall aquascape and the subscriber-built aquascape. If we continue on down, we've got our little blue ram's horn snail breeding tank here, and we have an algae problem in here too. Just a clump of hair algae, you know, I don't know, taking over the top here. So all I'm going to do is pull and then probably cut out that Java fern, maybe even just pull that Java fern out. That's what the algae is attached to, is a Java fern here. Once it attaches to it, it's pretty much, you know, going to take over and kill that fern anyway. So let me put you down and just get this taken care of. All right, so I just went ahead and pulled that whole fern out of there. Also a leaf off of one of the marble queens. But you can see there's really no saving that fern. It was just a big mat of hair algae. So in the trash it goes. So we got that taken care of, but there's still a little bit on this piece of wood. Gonna be hard to see with a little biofilm on the surface of the water, but right there in the middle of your screen, there's a little bit left on the wood. Best way to take care of that is gonna be to lower the water a little bit. We're gonna do about a 50% water change in this as well, just because there's obviously an abundance, of nutrients that's gonna promote that algae growth. So, and then once we drop that water level, what I'm gonna do is spray it with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. I keep it in this bottle here, just a handy little spray bottle of pure 3% hydrogen peroxide. Just spray it on there, that'll take care of that problem. All right, as I was draining the water, upon further inspection, there's a lot more hair algae around this aquarium than I thought. It's on the filter, it's on pretty much all of the plants all the way around. It's on the Anubias down here as well on the leaves. So I drained the water almost 100%, which will be okay for a water change that big because this only has snails in it. Snails are pretty resilient, so putting fresh water in is not going to bother them. Once I am sure that all the snails are in the water, not going to get hurt by this hydrogen peroxide, I'm going to go ahead and spray all this down. So all we do is just mist. Now everything's coated in hydrogen peroxide. We let that sit. It will go inert pretty quick as it evaporates off, so you don't have to worry about harming any livestock when you fill your aquarium back up. Going to be hard to see, but it's already working and bubbling. Come on, camera, focus. Focus on the stick. Yeah, there we go. You might be able to see a little bit of bubble action going on there. Die, algae, die. Okay, while we're waiting for that, let's give you another update. Keep this video moving along. Here is the 3-gallon no-filter fish bowl. and it's got some shrimp in it. It's got some chili rasboras in it. The shrimp are actually Caridina shrimp. They are blue tigered or orange eye blue tiger shrimp. You really can't see them anymore because they hide in all of this glossostigma. So there's a little chili guy. Got a little chili rasbora. There we go. You can see a little guy there. So there's 8 of those guys in there and about the same number of shrimp. I'm not going to do anything to this bowl. As you can see, it is doing just fine. It's beautiful. We've got some frog bit on the surface there, some snails in there. This ecosystem is just super stable. I do a water change on it every once in a while, but it just pretty much sits here filterless, and it's always crystal clear. Does its thing. So we're going to let it do its thing and save us a little bit of maintenance. Alright, I let the hydrogen peroxide sit on there for about 10 minutes or so, gave it another spray down, and then filled the aquarium back up with fresh water here. It has been dechlorinated, so don't worry about all of that stuff. Yeah, I am using tap water on this aquarium. And that's it. That's all we're going to do on this one here, just a water change and algae removal. We'll see how it gets along in the future with the algae issue, see if it continues to grow or if I got rid of it. Since we're talking about snail tanks, let's go ahead and look at the red ram's horn snail tank here. Really nothing to do in here except a water change. I don't really see much algae floating around. A little bit of surface algae on the glass you can see, little green dust algae, but no big clumps of hair algae or anything like that floating around in the tank. Well, I take that back. A little bit of string algae here right on the filter outlet. But since we need to do a water change anyway, we'll go ahead and remove that, drain the water out, which you can maybe barely see a little yellow tinge. Lighting on this is a little Hygger 14 watt. Forgot to mention, but same over here on the blue snail tank, little 14 watt Hygger. Both of these are powered by Free Sea Filtration. Links in description. Alright, not going to waste your time with the water change. Going to be a quick down and up on the water, and I'll be back to show you crystal clear water, I guess. Alright, there you go. Clear water. Nothing much else to say. So, again, did not clean the filter. It is just still a cycled filter, just fresh water with dechlorinator in it because I did use tap water. Now above this is the 40-gallon grow out tank, but I'm not going to show that to you because I have not released the video on that yet, and I don't want to spoil it, so you'll have to wait for that one. Okay, sneak peek. There you go. That's all you get. Alright, let's move on over here to the main rack with the 22 gallons and 10-gallon bookshelf aquariums. Start up here with the LANDEN 10-gallon. I've got believe it or not, a Hygger light that I'm testing. So that light is up there on the LANDEN setup. This is a LANDEN Aquarium, and LANDEN Rocks, and LANDEN Aquasoil, and LANDEN Lily Pipes, and in the back here, where's that little LANDEN filter? There you go, little LANDEN canister filter designed for a 10-gallon there. That's the Pura 100. Links to all that equipment for this OptiWhite tank and stuff is all in the description there. I'm making a video currently on this, and that's testing the light, so look for that video to come out here in a couple of weeks. But our dwarf baby tears hasn't really settled in as I would have liked. Many weeks ago I planted this. I did put some Amanos in here, as you can see, because I have an algae issue, as you can see. So I've been pretty lax on my maintenance, and this is what happens when you don't keep up with your maintenance. Algae starts to take over. When the algae takes over, the dwarf baby tears can't really thrive, much less they didn't have enough light previously. It was just these little strip lights that you see are off here, little undermount cabinet lights that I was using. Not a good idea. I'll explain that again in another video, but we've got to get this taken care of here. As far as maintenance on this video, not really going to do much because I've already done a water change on it. I'm doing water changes like every 2 days to keep the nutrients down. And you can see here the algae, it's really trying to take over. So the Amano shrimp and me and water changes and a couple of these snails, they're all fighting against the algae here. We'll see if this aquarium survives. But moving on, we're going to go down here to this green looking tank here. Now the reason it looks green is because this is not an OptiWhite tank. This is a Mr. Aqua 22-gallon 3-foot bookshelf aquarium. And it is just float glass. And so float glass makes all of your water look green. Didn't know that. Well, I mean, I knew that, but I didn't think it was going to be this drastic. Anyway, both of these are due for water changes. We're going to start with this one here. Definitely needs a water change. And then I'm going to add some root tabs in here. I've got these little Thrive root tabs, which aren't going to focus. I have these Nylock G Thrive caps here, little root capsules, and I'm going to put those in the back. We come around here to the back. I've got some, what is this stuff? Cardinal plants here. Now I did butcher them up because I sold some, but they're not doing great here. You can kind of see I've got some work to do if the camera will focus again. We've got some work to do to get them back to their bushiness. So we're going to put some root caps in there, help them out. Other than that, this aquarium has a lotus plant. This is a red tiger lotus, which isn't red because it doesn't have enough light to be red. So it just looks like a water lily right now. But that tiger lotus plant in there, doing just fine. I'm going to stick a root tab next to it as well. Our S. repens here, looks like there's a nutrient deficiency on the S. repens. You can see all these little holes in the leaves and stuff. They're like a root feeder, so I'm going to put some root tabs around there as well. Other plants in here are some Bucephalandra. You can see here we got some boost all along the wood. The camera's probably going to go in and out of focus as the guppies swim by. This is a guppy breeding tank, if you hadn't figured that out. Long-term viewers of the channel, you already know that. There's a Java fern in there. There's a little bit of Anubias, which seems to be doing pretty good. No holes in the Anubias, so it seems to be getting enough nutrients. And more boost over here on this side, if it'll focus. There we go. Some nice clumps of boost on the wood here. A little bit of Pentatophyta up top, and it's not doing as well as I thought it would do. I wanted it to kind of grow out of the water, but doesn't really seem to be doing that. It's pretty scraggly. Just seems to be kind of a nutrient deficiency. So we'll go ahead and change the water and be back after that. All right, gonna get some of these root tabs out here. These are capsule style, not like the APIs where it's just kind of a, flat tablet. One trick to these, one trick to these though, is they do have air in them. So if you're gonna plant them under the substrate, they're gonna wanna float up. Put them in your tweezers and give them a squeeze so they kind of flatten out like that. What that's gonna do is remove the air, obviously. Then you can just go in here and get your root tab down under the substrate and it'll stay there. I'm going to finish putting these around the aquarium here. You get the idea at this point. And there we have it. Fresh water change on the 22-gallon Guppy bookshelf aquarium. Now, you can kind of see the difference in the float glass. This is about a 90% water change. I know people don't like full water changes, but look, I've had no issues doing it. I prefer to do full water change if I'm going to change the water. Now here you can see pretty clear, a little bit of kind of that greeny tint. It's all brand new water, so the tint you're seeing is the glass itself versus OptiWhite. Float glass, OptiWhite. Now we're going to do the final tank in this video, and that's going to be this little shrimp tank here. This is my sun-kissed orange Neocaridina shrimp tank. Oof, can't talk after all this filming today. But all these little Neo shrimpies here, they're having a good old time. Those that remember me setting up this aquarium, it is a minimalist aquascape. All this aquarium has moving from back to front is some hydrocotyle tripartita, which is finally filling in nice in the back here, just to kind of provide some background cover there. It's got Anubias, if we can get the reflections off of here. Wow, super reflection on this aquarium. Well, not too much I can do about the reflections. Let me try and get down here. We've got Anubias stuck in here, two different types. You got Barteri and I can never remember what this one is here, but it's just another type of Anubias. Got some more Anubias down here. And then all we have for our ground cover is Hydropiper, Elatine Hydropiper. Really do like this carpeting plant. Very slow growing, at least in my aquascapes it is, but it's under very low light as well. Just these little undermount lights. And it seems to be doing just fine with the aqua soil. Nice and green, no algae. Of course, the shrimp do keep the algae down. There's hundreds of shrimp in here, believe it or not. But our carpet is filling in, and give it another couple of months, this whole thing is going to be full of Hydropiper. All right, let's do a water change on this. Same thing. Oh, floating plants, forgot to mention here. Just some frog bit. Some, right? Yeah, it propagating pretty well. But all right, let's go ahead and get a water change on this. Same thing, just a quick down and up. And finally, after a couple hours of slow fill in here, boom, the aquarium is good to go. Now, still see a little bit of that green tint. Again, that is the glass. So if you're looking to get an aquarium, just get an OptiWhite. But not too much else to say about this. I did feed the shrimp here. So maybe now you can kind of see how many have come out to play. Lots and lots and lots of little shrimp. Even little ones. Maybe you can see on the log there, little teeny tiny ones. There, zoom in a little bit here. Oh, the camera does not like to focus on these tiny guys. There we go. Maybe you can see a little tiny shrimp there. Newborns. And we got some more of them over here. Man, the reflection on this tank is really bad. Sorry, guys. Anyway, that's it. Now, I accidentally did tell a little white lie. We have one more aquarium to go. That wasn't the last one. Let me show you this little tiny guy. Up here on my desk is the half-gallon tiny cube aquarium, and the reason I forgot to mention it is because I am about to do a rescape on this tomorrow. So there was no need to do any maintenance. If I was going to do maintenance, we would have to remove this giant chunk of algae right here, which actually looks pretty cool. I mean, if you were going to like grow an algae tank, that's some cool algae. Gonna pull it out. Monte Carlo is just gonna go in the trash. It's full of algae, so anything that was salvageable in here is no more. Duckweed, I guess I'll keep the duckweed maybe for the next aquascape. Light is gonna be repurposed. I'm gonna use it on another aquarium, and I'll be installing and reviewing this little guy here. So little bit of a teaser for you, but that is the next video coming up. After this is gonna be this little cube rescape. Alright, and that's it for real, guys. Sorry if the commentary was a little mundane, but I've literally been doing maintenance on these aquariums all day. So after like 8 hours of this, maybe my commentary kind of lacked and went by the wayside. But hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of a tank update. I know you guys don't get to see the aquariums updated that much, as I generally do new builds on this channel. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I reply to every comment thus far till the channel gets too big, but for now I can reply to every comment. So any questions on any of the aquariums you saw or equipment or whatever, just drop a comment. While you're in the comment area, don't forget to click the other buttons that YouTube tells you to click. I appreciate your guys' support, and I will catch you on the next one.